Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking out time for this particular discussion. I am Dhriti Mahanta. I'm the business head and vice president with Team this degree apprenticeship. As we all know, India is more of a skill education-based market than a skill-based market for so many years now. Our education system is more of has been evolved over the years in such a way that skill deficit has been always a problem for all of us. I think if you see countries like European countries or even like China and Japan today, we still have a huge gap in terms of the way the skilling is done in schools and colleges. And I truly believe that today skill deficit has a correlation with fiscal deficit. I think because of this huge deficit, which is increasing year by year, has impacting the productivity of employees, and is also impacting the overall economic growth of the country. And I think in last couple of years, we have seen some changes on some steps taken by government in terms of like amendments in the Apprenticeship Act, coming up a lot of other skilling programs. But I don't think that is sufficient enough. I think today a lot of other stakeholders need to get involved, like the industry need to get involved, the skilling universities which are coming up need to get involved to make this complete ecosystem better. Otherwise, I think we're going to suffer a lot because the skill deficit is going to increase day by day. Um, I'm sure Colonel Prabhu and Veena, you have been doing apprenticeship or skilling programs in your organization for quite some time now. So I think we'll like to start a discussion with Colonel Rajan Prabhu. I think you have been doing apprenticeship for quite some time now. If you can share your experience, what are initial challenges you faced when you started the apprenticeship program, the internal stakeholders pushback, how you've been able to identify the apprentices or the candidates to be hired as an apprentice, what are compliance challenges you faced, and how you overcome the challenges. I think that will be a good input from your side for the industry relevant to your domain.
Thank you, Dhriti, for this question. In fact, I would be probably the right person in a way to be answering this question because, when I joined this company last year in April, we did not have any apprenticeship program within the company. And having come to know about this program and the benefits that the program was giving not only to the company but also to the employees as such, we decided to roll out this program on 15th of August last year. And yes, we did face initial challenges, and those initial challenges are primarily with respect to adoption by the internal stakeholder. That since I handle the HR operations, so there was certain getting people aligned to this idea that you are going to get freshers to work for you, and so that was the initial the idea of it was the initial challenge. And once that was overcome and the benefits explained to everybody, so I think that took off. And in about 5 months time, I think we have reached a figure of all we have recruited almost about 350 to 400 naps from zero, right? But what were the challenges other than the initial adoption rate that we faced? I will try to put it down in 3-4 simple points. The first challenge that we were facing was that of the timeline of payments. Now, in our company, we are able to pay out our people by the first of every month, right? In case of NAPS, that takes another 2 days because first is the day when we can freeze the van accounts as per the government policy in the NAPS portal, and by first evening or second we are able to fund it, and by third is when people get the amount. So that was one challenge where initially our processes were not very much aligned, and we had to sometimes it was third, fourth, fifth also when the employees were getting the salary. So while they are working in the same kitchen, same stores with other employees who were getting the salary on first, this differential of even 48 hours was created a hindrance. And till today also there are a few people who want to convert from NAPS to full-time employees. They want to come about because they feel that they're getting salary 2 days late. So that was one challenge, right? The second challenge was with respect to the promotions part, increments part. Now you see in our entire environment, we give promotions to people based on the skills that they acquire over a period of time. So we keep testing people every 2-3 months, and based on that, we have a career growth, pathway for them. And so therefore, you give them that, and so our full-time employees, they keep getting promotions every 2-3 months. So the NAPS employees who come while they are explained that they are apprentices, so they had this unique, ask that I have come along with this person. This person joined as a full-time employee on the same day that I joined. This person has got a promotion and a hike after 3 months. Why can't I get it? Right. So that was the next challenge. So we made an internal policy saying that we will internally promote apprentices as well and give them a certain hike, right? So that they are at par with the people with they are working for, right? Working with, right? So these 2-3 things were the challenges we faced, right? Sourcing was never a problem. At times we had people backing out because they were not getting PF and ESIC. There were people who wanted it, so that was the issue with the program. But of course, the people who have to come into this program cannot demand statutory requirements. So that was also there, but that is very few and far in between. I think the DBT which now has started is going to be a game changer in terms of better adoption. Because see, till now there was a certain hitch because the benefits coming back to the company was coming in about 6 to 7 months time in terms of reimbursement, coming that late. So the teams who were the stakeholders were not, getting the benefit immediately. So they were like, it's taking time for the benefits to come back into your books. Now that it has happened this month, immediately people have realized that, okay, the benefit of all these people has come to us immediately in the same month that we have paid out. So with that, I think the adoption rate will increase, and I feel that that is going to be a game changer.
So basically, the internal ecosystem which you need to change when we started the program. I think rest. I think in terms of identification was never a challenge for you guys. Now you have your own. I think the roadmap in terms of succession plan also, right,
Yeah.
for apprentices.
Yes.
So what is the absorption rate, right, in terms of after the completion of the apprenticeship program? How many people get absorbed as an employee or contractual employee?
So having started, I think we launched in August. The first people joined us in September. They have left. Attrition rate is generally around 8 to 10%. So the oldest employee in our system right now has completed 8 months. So there's nobody who's completed the complete 1 year program. So I cannot tell you about absorption rate, but as a policy, we have clearly laid out that anybody and everybody who completes 1 year, we will absorb.
Great. I think that's a I think interesting insight from your side, how you have been able to change the internal ecosystem and how you're able to identify apprentices for your company. So I think I'll take up the same question with Veena. Veena, if you can share your input, how you introduce the program in your company, what are challenges you face in, because I have seen many companies last 8-9 years when the apprenticeship program get introduced, there are pushback from internal stakeholders because something is very new. How a trainee will be working on the shop floor or maybe working in a factory setup, whether it will be productive or not. So if you can share your challenges and how you've been able to cover up the challenges and how you've been able to scale up the apprenticeship program in your organization. Now, you're on mute.
Yeah. I think most of the things are quite similar, kind of an experience like what Kanu Ranjan said. However, there are certain things where there was a challenge initially which I faced, which the other company wouldn't have faced. That was like we operate from rural areas. Our resources are from the rural areas. So when we look at the people in rural areas, most of them who are good in academics, they look at moving to cities or to metros. And then there are people who are average performers or below average performers who are retained in the villages for various reasons. So when we are looking at employing people, we usually do not get employable people directly. So they will have to go through certain kind of skill development courses, or they will have to be mentored in such a way that they can be employed in an organization. So that is a challenge which we always face. So here what happens is apprenticeship comes handy to us, but then again, when we look at people who can be taken as apprentice for the organization, these are the people who are like really bottom performers, or people who are like at the bottom level in their academics. So people who are just out of college with like bare minimal marks that they have just passed and things like that. So it's very difficult for us to actually train them or get them to a level where they can be readily employed. So what happens is we take them as apprentice. So initially there was a challenge like, why should we even have these people? But then we looked at the kind of people and then we thought, let us have this apprenticeship program and let us see if we can make them employable resources. So we take them through this program, and most of them who have joined us last year, they're still there with us. So, but there is a good rate of conversion also. So the question that you asked, Pramil, was what percentage of people have become employable resources?
Right.
So here we have almost around 70 to 80% of the people who have been absorbed in the company. So the rest of them.
So this is like people who completed the on-the-job training, or before that you find, okay, somebody is employable, let me move him to an employment, or like after completion? How the process goes?
Midterm, during their apprenticeship period itself, we find them employable resources. We feel that these people are contributing more than what an apprentice can do. And that is why we absorb them in the company. So if you look at our statistics from last year, since the time we have joined through this NAPS program, every 3 months you see that there are certain set of people who are absorbed in the company. So the number of people, we are just filling those number of apprenticeship again, but then there are good number of people who are absorbed by the company itself. So this is working pretty well for us, and we are also planning to enroll in some other programs with team leads as well.
So, Vinay, when you go back to in terms of identification of candidates for apprenticeship program, how the process goes, like in terms of what is the selection process? Do you use some kind of technology in terms of like getting the pool, or is like what's your ecosystem in terms of like how you create it so that you get the candidates for apprenticeship program?
Right now, we are not using any technology-based solutions for recruitment as such, for recruitment at this level of apprentice as such. We're working with the local colleges nearby. As I mentioned, most of our centers are located in rural areas of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. So what happens is we go to the nearby colleges, mostly government colleges, etc., and we look at people who are employable resources from there. We take them through an interview process based on the skills that are required for the current processes that we have in place. And based on that, we do a selection process and then we take them. Again, if they are directly employable resources, we absorb them immediately. But if not, we take them through the apprenticeship program for a year where they will be taught skills which are required for the particular process. And then we absorb them as and when required.
Great. I think there's another, I think, interesting insight from your side of a different domain altogether in terms of the industry which you cater to. So I think I'll go back to Colonel Ranjan. Colonel Ranjan Prabhu, in terms of today, we all talk about productivity, right? So how do you, what do you feel in terms of when you have an apprentice and you have an employee? Is the productivity, is any difference in the productivity, the outcome which organization look for, or you find that employee has a better productivity and apprentice needs some more time to be productive for the organization?
As far as we are concerned, in our domain, we look for unskilled workers because we train them. We have a certain set of SOPs. Making of the food is not a skilled job. We don't look for skilled chefs. We look for unskilled people who just have to follow a particular SOP. So it's like an assembly line production, right? So based on that, the employees who come to us, whom we recruit, our basic requirement is 10th pass, so that they can at least read the instructions that come on the display system. Because since we are an online cloud kitchen based. All our orders come through apps and through Swiggy and Zomato. So the person has to just be able to read that instructions which come on the screen. So as long as they can do that, they are willing to work, in a 8 to 10 hour, window within the kitchens environment, right? So we can train them. Our SOPs are very simple. We have a training team which trains them. So in terms of since we have kept that, basic intake as 10. So whether it is a person who comes on a full-time payroll or who comes on as an apprentice, we have not really seen much of a difference in terms of their capabilities, right? Trainability also, we have not seen much of a difference. The difficulty that we face in training a normal candidate versus an apprentice is same. We've not faced any specific, instance where for a lot of or a batch of NAPS employees, we have found that it's more difficult to train them. At least in our domain, we have not found that difference. We are able to train both of them, both of these people in a similar fashion, because again, like I said, from industry to industry, it will differ. In our particular domain, that difficulty is not there. That challenge is not there.
So you can say the productivity is almost same for an apprentice or an employee, right? Because
yes.
SOP for the
yes. The productivity is the same. It again all depends on the attitude of the people. So the productivity is the same. There is no difference. Once we train people, they can produce in the same manner that a normal full timer can do that.
Great. I'll take up this same question with Veena. Veena, what is your insight in terms of like from your industry or your company? How do you differentiate between the productivity of an employee and apprentice? Is employed is more productive, or the apprentices need more time to be productive?
In the initial stages, an employee would be more productive compared to an apprentice. But as and when we start training them, provide them the skills that are required for the particular process or the client that they are aligned to, slowly they start picking up the skills, and it's just a matter of time. And once they are there, once they are able to understand the logic behind what we do, I think they'll be there at par. So I think it is just a matter of a few months till when they are ready to be there on the production floor. I think they are going to be equally good as the people on payrolls.
So we have done a survey, right? And we came up with something called apprenticeship outlook report and then stipend primer. We've seen over last 1 year time that the wage premium or the wages or you can stipend of an apprentice is much higher than employees, right? Today, organizations want to give more money or more as a stipend to an apprentice than to a fresher coming out of the campus and be an employee. So what is your thought? You have you see the same thing, or is like different for your company or for the industry, which is relevant to your domain?
You want me to answer?
Yeah. So I'm saying,
Okay.
so do you see the wages are almost same, or you see a difference in the wages of an apprentice or employee? Or yeah.
If I have to talk about our company or the BPOs that I could relate to, most of the time the wages for the apprentice are lower compared to somebody who is in payroll. The distinction is done mainly because of the skills that are required. For somebody to climb up the ladder and to be there in a position of a team leader or associate manager or in a managerial position, they will have to keep upskilling themselves. And sometimes that is itself a long process. So in the process, the companies also would have to support them and things like that. And that will happen only when they are going to be there in the company. So retention is one more thing. So at that time, what happens is, as and when there are appraisals, when we look at the performance of an individual, we would like to appraise them and the subsequent salary raises happen. But in the case of an apprentice, one is because of the duration of apprenticeship. It's going to be for a year. So at that time, we look at somebody who can understand basic things and can be there, can be skilled. We keep them for a period of 1 year. And if they are good enough, we move them to the payroll. So we've not seen that kind of a hike in the salaries of apprentice versus employee.
Okay. So, Colonel Ranjan Prabhu, what is your insight in terms of how do you see is the difference between the wages of an apprentice and employee or same or higher or lower?
Right. So, see, this was one of the earlier challenges that we had when we were taking apprentice distributed environment. We have about 365 kitchens across India. Every kitchen has on an average about 20 to 25 people working in different shifts, morning, evening, afternoon shifts, right? So what happens is, if you have an apprentice working in the kitchen and you have another full timer who, is again a new recruit, and we have a career pathway, like we have different designations, right? From the lowest designation, whom we call a product associate, then a branch of 1, 2, 3. So there is a ladder. So let's say there are two people who joined, one an apprentice and one a product associate. At the ground level, at the kitchen level, they're doing the same work. All right, they're doing the same work, right? They're being trained in the similar manner in the same SOPs, and they're doing
Same
the same
SOP,
number of
same
hours as
practice.
well.
Yeah.
So uh, at the initial phase, when we not getting people to come and work, okay, and we were also having those who were coming, they were comparing themselves that I'm also working the same number of hours, I'm doing the same work. Why am I getting less just because I'm called an apprentice? Right? So they don't understand. At the level of blue collar employees, it is very difficult for you to make them understand that this is how it goes. So what we did, see, as a company, we were definitely drawing benefit out of it, whether it was in terms of statutory, not having to pay up statutory requirements and also getting the reimbursement. So we decided as a company that we will not differentiate between the take home of the lowest level, right? So whether it is our lowest level is, let's say, a product associate. So we decided that we will not the take home if of a full time product associate is 12,000 per month. We will give 12,000 stipend to the apprentice as well, so that there is equality at least at that level. In any case, because of our payment toward the PF and ESIC and all those things, so the net, so the gross or the CTC of a product associate to full time definitely higher. Okay, so but the at the ground level, the blue collar workforce look at what they get in hand, right, and they compare that. So we said that at that level we will not keep any differentiation. Therefore, in our company the stipend matches, right? Compared to many industries, maybe that may be higher. People pay apprentices lower because they are a standard lower. They are trainees, and in certain companies where you look like automobile companies and all, where you need higher skilled people. So there the differentiator is there, because you can tell the person also, look, that guy is much highly skilled. You are not skilled, and that's why you're getting this. But in our domain, that doesn't work because the work level, what is being done, is the same. Right.
Absolutely.
So therefore, we have kept that same,
Same benchmarking for
yeah,
the
and yeah, benchmarking. And also, what we do is that every 6 months, as an incentive, we also give a bonus 500 rupees to a person. That is again to incentivize his carrying on, to reduce attrition and all that. So
correct.
that's what we are trying to follow. We are also giving promotions even while the person is an apprentice. We have created 2-3 designations within apprenticeship to match up with our normal promotion for our full timers also. So we give, because in 1 year for them is a very long time to stay at the same stipend level. There is a lot of churn in this particular industry. So we manage it that way. And I think overall, we as a company, we're still saving, we are still getting a lot of benefits out of this program in terms of, if you purely from economical perspective.
Yeah. So, so you are saying that you have regular interventions in terms of assessing an apprentice, right? So, do you do on a quarterly basis, or you do a monthly, or like after every 6 months? Because I think you have a 1 year course, right? So 1 year apprenticeship program. So, how's the process go in terms of assessing an apprentice? Because I'm sure you also assess an employees in terms of his productivity. So how you do in a monthly, quarterly, or 6 months, or before the end of the on the job training program?
We have a training team, And we have a policy of, there are two types of interventions that we do. One is refresher. So refresher is primarily to refresh people on the SOPs, right? Whatever training we have given, we do the refresher. That is on a monthly
Basically, more
basis.
of product.
So that we do on a monthly basis, and every 3 months we have a kind of a a promotion intervention where we take the test for from promotion point of view, that whether the person is ready for the next level. So that is when we do a very thorough check on their skill levels, right? So it is two levels, refresher and then
And
upgradation through through a promotional test. So that is for the full timers. So for what we have done for apprentices is we follow a similar model. The monthly refresher is always there, right? But in terms of promotional, since they are apprentices, not full timers, so we have a slightly delayed skill testing. That is, we do it every 4 months.
so
Right?
basically, they need to understand the skills part of it before
Yeah.
refreshing.
So we take more time. So we do it first. First, skill test is done on the fourth month. Then the next one is done on the ninth month, and then we complete it to the 12th. So internally, we are testing it that way, right? And so that is how we are going about it.
Great. So, Veena, how's the assessment process for you for apprentices?
See, we have an annual appraisal process in place. So what happens is for everybody in general, the process is conducted once a year. However, we believe in promoting people internally. So there is an IGP process which keeps happening depending on the number of clients that we acquire and things like that. So in this process, what happens is we look at promoting the people within the system. So at that time, as in one, somebody is moved to a different level, we try to fill in that gap. And that time we look at the pool of resources we have. So most of the time, apprentices also do get a chance to be moved to the pay scale and things like that. That's the reason I said that most of the people who start as apprentices, very quickly they start getting absorbed in the company. That is the process for me.
Great. So, what's the gender diversity in terms of the lot of apprentices which you have? Like, how many are like female apprentices, and what is gender diversity ratio for your apprentices?
As an organization, we have more than 70% women in our organization. So the same holds good for the apprentice also. So in apprentice, in fact, we have more number. We have close to around 80% women.
So, Colonel Ranjan, what is the gender diversity ratio for your apprentices?
So it's we have 76% males and 24% is females. Yeah, and generally, and like I said, like what Veena was saying, it generally follows the same trend as for our full-time employees.
Okay. So you're saying is basically 70% is male and then rest 30% is female apprentices. That is the gender diversity you have. I think similar
Yes,
to what Veena
correct.
was saying. I think
Correct.
yeah, great. So I think I'll go back to one fundamental question, or you can say a discussion which is going on in last 2 years, that how apprentices can create a pipeline for future workforce with a better ROI. So what is your thought, Colonel Ranjan, in terms of how apprenticeship can create a supply chain for future workforce with a better ROI as compared to the other medium of hiring manpower?
See, when you talk of the pipeline, the sourcing or the sources for apprenticeship are similar to, at least at our level, is similar to what we see for other employees as well. Because again, like I said, we look at unskilled employees who are just 10th or 12th pass, school dropouts as well. So we, have even approached CBSE and got some database of school dropouts who were not completed 10th. Or rather not completed 12th and after 10th have dropped out, and we tend to reach out to them as well and try and take them on. So from a perspective of since it allows you to take younger age as well, less than 18, and also so from that perspective, I think it opens up a bigger funnel, right? So till now, till last year we were restricted to only 18 and above. But from last year, we started taking in people with 17 years of age, because we said that, okay, 1 year he'll do apprenticeship, he'll be 18, so we can absorb, right? Because if you take anything lesser than that, after apprenticeship, we cannot absorb as a permanent employee, right? So that funnel opened up a bit, right? So you can source more people, you can get more people, you have a larger funnel. So from that point of view, you as an industry, we can train more people, get more people skilled in the domain that we are in, and so therefore you get a larger pool, right? And this pool is available to you to absorb after training, as an apprentice, right? So that's one great thing. Second, in terms of return of investment, right? If of course, we have not started the BTP part where we can recruit, train, and deploy. So because there are challenges with the present policy and how we operate, so we could not take that on. Otherwise, that would have been a good input to our ROI. But presently, also as I see it, if you look at purely this month alone, I had to pay out approximately 20 lakhs towards the stipend of my NAPS employees,
Yeah.
right? As per the payable stipend that they were supposed to get. But we paid out only 16 lakhs. So 4 lakhs was the saving straight away because of the DBT, right? So if we continue on the same lines, by the end of the year, we would be close to, saving about close to about 48 lakhs or so, right? So which is an immense sum.
Right. So when you talk about the cost part, saving part of it, how you are utilizing this money, going back to the employees and apprentices in terms of learning, because I think learning interventions are very important. Are they getting some kind of education in terms of like degrees or diplomas?
Right.
What
So
is
this
your
is exactly, thank you so much for bringing that point up. So this is something which we have decided as a company. We are looking at plowing back a part of these savings back to the employees through degree programs for them. So degree as well as other education programs. We are looking at them to complete 12th. Those who are not yet completed, +2. So we are giving them an opportunity to complete 12th. People who are +2 and want to do a degree or any certificate program in the same domain that we are, whether it is BBA, or they want to do a certificate diploma course in e-commerce, or want to do a diploma course in hospitality. We've even tied up with team leads, and we're looking at these programs, that how do we have made a policy, we floated it, that we will fund it to some extent, and once the employee passes, we'll refund the entire amount that the person has expended on this. So we are looking at upskilling them through education as well, right? So one part is the training that we give, and the second part is the education. We want to enhance the education levels from the present level that they are.
So it's basically upskilling employees for the new job roles, or maybe that is how I think the productivity will play very important. New technologies coming in where you'll need more people in different domains. I think that is where the upskill comes into picture, I think.
Yes, and it's very important that we educate them, because if we have to define a career pathway for them beyond the lowest grade, and they want to move up within our company itself, from the lowest member in the team to a store manager, or assistant store manager, or an area manager, or a zonal manager. So they need to have that education levels as well. So we are giving that opportunity, that while you are an apprentice, or after you've done your apprenticeship, we can give you this opportunity to study, and whatever savings the company is making out of employing them, we are trying to plow back some percentage back towards the employee's benefit.
Great. So I think I'll put up the same question to Veena. How do you see apprenticeship becoming a strong supply chain creation for future workforce? And what is your thought on return on investment by apprenticeship model, which you have implemented in your organization?
Yeah, one of the main things that I look at is when we're looking at this pool of resources whom we retain as apprentice, what happens is like our kind of work setup is very dynamic. So we never know when the requirement would come. So if we are looking for like some 50 annotation related workers, then if we have that kind of a pool ready with us in the training, what happens is we can quickly absorb them into the payroll. So that is why we look at retaining that kind of a bench through an apprentice model. So this is what we do. And as Colonel mentioned, the ROI that we have is the kind of benefits that we are getting in terms of the statutory compliance that we are able to retain with these people. And this is a kind of a dynamic workforce. What happens is usually once they are skilled, they look at other opportunities in the metros. So they usually try to migrate to the metros. So it's a very dynamic kind of skilled labor situation that we are in. Sorry. So we try and keep that pool of apprentices going so that we'll have that number of people in reserve. So as and when there is a requirement, we can push them to the payroll. Apart from this, like Colonel mentioned, we also look at empowering them through providing them education support. However, we have people who are graduates with us. So all the people who we absorb are people who are graduates. So even when we take apprentices, we look at people who have completed their graduation or who are pursuing their graduation. Because most of our clients, whenever we are providing them manpower, they look at people who are graduates. So that is the reason we have that kind of a policy where we are looking at only graduates when we hire them with our organization, or people who are pursuing graduation. But once we absorb them as payroll resources, we look at providing them education support for their higher education. So they can do masters or they can do any kind of PG program and things like that. And there are a lot of courses that are available in terms of Coursera or any of the other courses. We have our D-Touch program also, where we help them to benchmark their skills with any other competitors in the industry. So we provide that support for them to continue their higher education. So whatever amount we try and save from the apprentice program, we pull it back to the
It's like
resources.
reinvesting them to the employees.
Yeah.
So great. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like the apprenticeship program, the ROI part of it getting reinvested for the employees to have better productivity and growth. Make a lot of sense, Veena. So I'll go back to Colonel Ranjan. In terms of like you've been doing apprenticeship now for some time now. So what I'm sure still you have faced a lot of challenges in terms of the complete ecosystem, right? Because different stakeholders are involved. So what is your input? Because we interact very closely with government agencies and different stakeholders. So what is your input, which maybe we can pass on, because we're doing this for almost 9 years now. We have India's first skill university, largest apprenticeship program running in the country. So what is your input in terms of like what are the things you think can change or maybe which will help the apprenticeship program to be more ease of doing apprenticeship?
One of the challenges which we faced was reimbursement, which I think is solved now. So that is a good thing that has happened through DBT. This is the first month we have to wait and watch because one challenge which may come up in case the government DBT takes time to get credited to the people. There is going to be a lot of hue and cry because we have told people that it's going to be credited within 3 or 4 days. If there is a delay in that, then we'll have to, as a company, look at making it up, right? Because see, again, people at these levels who earn 8, 9, 10,000, for them, 25% of the salary is quite a lot, and they won't wait. They would not like to wait, and there would be attrition. That's what we fear. So we'll have to wait and watch if the DBT kicks in time and on time. I think this will be a game changer, like I said before. So this is something which I feel has been solved if technologically the things happen the way they have been promised. Second challenge is with the portal. There are issues with the portal. It is slow. Onboarding is slightly complex, I would say. The requirement of geotag photographs, the requirement of eKYC, while I understand all the requirements are going to be there for ensuring that people get their dues and DBTs on time. We are trying to sort that out through onboarding vendors who can clear their Aadhaar and the mapping and all correctly to mobile numbers and all. So that is one. It's a small issue, but yes, I think that is another challenge. One more challenge is with respect to the pay part, the freezing of the accounts which happen on the first of the month. I think that is where the government can allow us to probably,
So I think
freeze
that
the
have
accounts
changed
before.
now. I think as per my
Yeah,
understanding, that have changed. Now you can
yeah,
have the flexibility of putting your payout as per your
right.
requirement.
And early, yeah. So that will help us, to fund accounts prior to first, and ensure that timely payouts go out, because for them, at this level, this is something important. And I think we, while we as a company, we give them medical insurance, right? I think there is no harm while we may not give PF, but there is no harm in including these
Extending
people
the
also part of
ESIC part of it.
ESIC benefits to these people as well. Because see, medical, you cannot discriminate somebody on medical for medical benefits, right? Whether a trainee or a non-trainee or a full timer, they are working in the same hazardous environment, and their families, or they can always, have some kind of an accident or some kind of an incident happening with them, or some kind of a disease. That won't come asking, whether you are an app or you
You are
are a
the
full time.
correct,
Right.
absolutely.
So I think we should, the government should consider maybe at a lower rate to incentivize the industry. At a lower rate, include this manpower also within the ambits of ESIC.
Because as an organization, you are not discriminating the wages part of it, then it becomes
Yeah, yeah. And today, see, we are giving them the private group medical cover that we are giving to rest of our employees who are not under ESIC. We are giving the same to them. Of course, the cost is much lower because the our medical insurance is limited by a certain amount, whereas ESIC there's no capping, right? So I understand that part. So either the government can come up with a upper limit medical insurance scheme through EPFO, or through, not through EPFO, but through some agency, maybe a LIC or somebody, and allow us to include these people as well at a subsidized cost,
makes sense.
or even ESIC themselves can provide at a subsidized cost with a certain amount of capping, even if it has to be done. So that will incentivize the industry as well, and not discriminate between person A and B working in the same environment.
Correct. So, Colonel Ranjan, there's another thing which we have been advocating for quite some time is that today organization has a limitation of apprenticeship, right? You cannot go more than 15%. So, do you think the, organization can be self-governance kind of a thing where you decide what is your quota, right? Whether you want to take subsidy, non-subsidy is completely now your choice, whether you want to take DVT or not. Now, what don't you think that will help organizations to decide whether I want to take 15%, 20%, or even 30%, or I stick to only 5%?
See, it depends from organization to organization, what kind of skill level and people you need. For a organization or a company which requires higher skilled people, I think they would certainly want to keep a cap on the number of apprentices in their company. In our case, probably we can look at higher levels, because for us, it doesn't really matter. The skill levels, because in any case our requirement is purely unskilled people.
Right.
So there, I think we should, we can always have higher number of people. And I think uh, if the government can have a policy, flexible kind of a policy, where the company can decide on their apprenticeship, then I think it will be a good thing. But the present numbers itself is good. I feel we have not been able to achieve even that right now. We're trying to take in people, but like I said, the challenges were what they were. I think now we should have better adoption towards it with the DBT kicking in. So I think yes, given a
So maybe
chance,
in future you can look for, because I've seen a lot of organizations today like startups who have
yeah,
an employee strength which is like unlimited, right? Today you can
right.
Tata, who has a large group where have a
Mm.
employee strength is large and they have a higher quota, whereas where a startup having the opportunity to be trained. I think that where I think this thought process fit into
Yeah, yeah. So,
self-government.
so what we are looking at now, Dhriti, is that, compared to maybe other organizations, we take everybody at the bottom level, because we, again, like I said, we require only unskilled people. So we take them at the bottom level, and then they grow within the organization. unlike other organizations where somebody may be coming at certain levels, higher levels as well. So we are actively considering a policy where, we want to hire only NAPs, and we have 6 months apprenticeship, and after that we call that a 6 months probation for the employee, and after 6 months automatic absorption. So we want to route everybody through it, right?
So everybody, any person joining your organization should join as an apprentice, and then they
yes. So that gets considered under a probation period, and thereafter there is an automatic absorption. So that is what we are looking at. We are actively considering it, and I think we will soon run a pilot on it. And if it takes off well in a region or a zone, I think that is the way to go in case we want to partner with the government to provide opportunities through this, and as well as look at our own ROI as well.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Make a lot of sense. So I think I'll take up this question to Vina. Vina, again, in terms of what is your input or in say your suggestions, which can help making apprenticeship more ease of doing apprenticeship. If you can share your input on this, and do you think that moving the quota system right today will help organizations to decide their own how much apprentices they have to hire or not to hire?
Yeah. I second Colonel Ranjan's thoughts on the thing that we should have ESIC for the people who are enrolling under apprentice also, because though we also have an insurance policy for our resources, ESIC is a much better coverage, and it also covers their families. So even for us, this is the same question which is wanted, where people say that why aren't you taking us as payroll resources? At least provide us insurance benefit. They may not be very thrilled by the idea of PF immediately when they join, though they are interested in PF as well. But ESI is something which is really beneficial. And we've seen that in rural areas where we work, there are a lot of people who are getting benefited out of this scheme. So that is one thing which I think you can pose a request from our end. Apart from that, as he said, onboarding has been a challenge. Though we have partnered with you and you are doing the onboarding work, there are a lot of documentation which is required in terms of their PAN or their Aadhaar, etc. So what happens is, for a fresh graduate, sometimes even this is a challenge, because in college or in school, they would have given a different name. And when they are looking for a job, or when they're opening a bank account, there has been small change and things like that. So it's not much of a time that has been wasted, but even then, even that 1 or 2 months is a delay. And by then they will have started looking out for jobs elsewhere and things like that. So during the onboarding process, if there is a leeway that we can give them a time of 15 days to provide the documentation that has not been uploaded, etc., then even we will know for sure that this person is really interested and would take up the apprenticeship seriously. This is just a thought. Probably you can also.
It makes sense. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Apart from that, your question about the percentage of enrollment of apprentice. See, what happens is, usually in an organization like ours, we have rural setups in different villages. So if there is a 15% quota overall, what happens is, then we are not very sure if in a particular village we'll be able to take that 15%. So it could be limited to 1 or 2 places itself. So if there could be a provision where you can have 15% in each of the branches that you have or things like that, then it would be more beneficial, is what I feel.
Absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense, which I am personally advocating with the NSDC and ministry for almost now 5 months now, because I feel that skilling is a fundamental right, like any other thing. If I want to get skill in a particular domain in a company, and the company has exhausted their quota, then I think I'm limiting myself to a particular skill.
Yeah, and even on the reimbursement part, what happens usually is there is no definite period as such. Like, we will know that within 45 days, definitely we're going to get a reimbursement. Suddenly there is a reimbursement that comes to the bank account, and our finance team will be like, what is this reimbursement for? So sometimes, even if we can get some kind of information before the reimbursement comes, or any such kind of information, that would be really helpful. Yeah. I'm not sure if it should come from team leads or from the government itself.
So I think now we have this DBT coming in. With DBT, I think now a lot of organizations is a testing thing, which Colonel Ranjan was also saying how is going to work now. right? Whether they're getting the money in 2-3 days time or it takes some more time. I think direct beneficiary is has been discontinued from 1st of July. So I think let's see how government disburse the 25% to apprentices. I think next couple of months will actually help us to understand how they take it up this particular initiative of DBT. Right. So before we
For
leave,
some reason, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt, for some reason we have not opted for the DBT scheme.
So a lot of organizations are skeptical about it. They say, let us see
Yes.
for next 2-3 months. If everything is smooth, then we'll take it up. Otherwise, we'll hold on for some more
Right.
time. Because I personally seen Colonel Ranjan, it is taking 2 to 3 months time. We had an organization who started because we have our own quota also. So we started DBT in last year. 2 months were good. Then after that, government was struggling with the funds. So touch wood, I think I think now they're in launch it. Let's see how they quickly reimburse the subsidy part of it in terms of DBT. That will play a very important role to become successful in terms of implementation of DBT. So before we end the discussion, I think you guys, I'll like to take your input. Right, you guys very often meet apprentices, right? So any incident which you like to highlight, which actually is something which you can share with a larger audience in terms of like the interactions you do with apprentices, anything which is making sense for us to take it to the larger audience in terms of success or experience.
So I'll just, I met one person in Ahmedabad. We had taken that person on, and it was a girl, and she was 17 years old and wanted to work in our industry. She used to like seeing people in Domino's and Pizza Hut and all those places. So she was telling me that she got an opportunity to work with us, but her problem was that she was 17-year-old and could not go and join some of these places. So when we took her on under the NAPS, she was very happy, and it was just by chance or luck. I was on a visit to Ahmedabad during that time, and I could speak to this person, and that person was very motivated that yes, I could get an opportunity to work uh, alongside other full timers, but as an apprentice, and I could get an opening to come here, right? Which otherwise probably in most of the
Absolutely.
organizations where apprenticeship is not in vogue, there the person would not have been able to get onboarded for another 1 year because of the age gap, and that person was wanting to support her family, and there was nobody else available. So I think that way it was great. We not only onboarded her, I think 6 months down the line, we could onboard her sister as well. And I think both of them today are working in our kitchen in Ahmedabad, and they have completed. I think 3 months would have been the time that they have completed, and hopefully, I like to see them completing in a year.
So I
that
think we
way,
should have those kind of case studies. Maybe we'll connect with you so we can take out to a larger audience, or maybe that will help us to create the supply chain for the industry
yeah.
also. Very interesting story from your side in terms of this particular. Maybe we can create a case study around this, and then
So I think Dhriti, we should have some connect with all the state governments, the education boards. Each state has its own state board, and we also have the CBSE and the ICSE. I think school dropouts after 10th, after 12th are the kind of people who we can target, the target audience for this kind of a role.
Absolutely.
Who dropped out because of some financial requirement, not able to meet their education, and they have no other skills, and they can be taken on as apprentices.
I think that is where the national
CBSE,
education
they can
policy
contribute. Yeah.
I think today national education policy talks about this only like school dropouts, like people from school, they were 8, 9, they can start working and getting skill. Make a lot of sense. I think we will connect and take it up.
Right.
It's an important topic to be considered. Veena, I'm sure you also met a lot of apprentices. So any interesting story from your side?
Yeah, there are a lot of interesting stories actually, but to name one, we had this small project which we did in Gujarat. So from there, we had some group of some 10 people who were working with us on a particular project. And after the project ended, still there were a couple of them who were like closely linked with Desicrew and for some reason wanted to continue working with us. But we didn't have a setup in Gujarat and all that. So we were not sure how do we engage them. But since they were really persistent, we thought that, okay, let us put them through our apprentice program. And we did that. And they've been working with us for almost 7-8 months now. And there are 2 of them who have continued to stay with us and they're doing really well. So now that we have some of the NLP clients that are coming through, so we are thinking how we can engage them in different language clients that we have and things like that. So definitely it has helped them and us as well. So there are the stories of people who are like really looking for opportunities. And through Apprentice, we are able to provide them the opportunity as well.
Interesting. I think what we also trying to do is that we are trying to create a lot of case studies for the industry to understand why apprenticeship is important and how it can help the organization to scale up the supply chain part of it with a better ROI. So I think again, I'll come back to you how we can create a case study for this so that we can put a larger audience. Team is always the endeavor for team leaders is the how we can make India most employable by all the skilling programs which we have initiated. Thank you so much, Veena. Thank you so much, Colonel Ranjan, for taking out time for discussion. A lot of interesting insight from both of you. And we would like to have more discussions like we had today in future also. Thank you so much for taking out time for this discussion.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure, Yadrinti. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Thanks.